So yeah, sit tight, everybody.
Hey,
in
we'll
the
come back.
chat.
Kathy's going to get a drink. Or, Chris, I didn't see that you were rating. I apologize. While Kathy's going to go get a drink, we'll come right back. But I will play our music, get everybody going, and get everybody doing stuff. Welcome to the start of the show. Oh, here we go, guys. Welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm going to say it's episode 103, but Kathy will probably check me on that and make sure I'm right. Kathy is not back yet because for the people that are new, we do a pre-ramble for our patron subscribers and let them have some stuff, and we were just shutting down to start back up. So if you're here, thank you. Thank you, Orcus, for the raid. We appreciate it so much. It's a pleasure, and thank you so cool. Tonight, John is out. He is going to be doing Christmas stuff with his mom, and so it's just going to be Kathy and I. So Kathy and I decided we would do a double paint stream thing to go and do everything and get it done. So while we're waiting on her to get back, here she comes. Shh, everybody be quiet. Shh. Don't let her know you're here. Shh, be quiet.
Wait, it's 7:01.
I know. I kind of started it back early a little bit. Today's episode, we're going to talk about hobbying and gaming during the holiday season. How you can do it, still be, cool and not, burn yourself out. Also, what you can do to, like while you're at your families. What should you do if you're at your families and you really don't want to spend time with them, but you're forced to spend time with them? So you have to bring some hobby stuff along with you.
Use your hobby as an excuse.
Yeah. Type thing.
I'm sorry. I have this commission that I have to finish. I have this deadline looming. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to work on this. See how that works?
It works wonders. And if you're not a commission painter, just pretend.
Yeah, it's not like you have to actually have a commission.
Yeah, just pretend. But like travel supplies.
We're so awful. We're awful people, Gonzo.
But we're also going to be doing, what to do, how to make travel kits. Bring what to bring, so on and so forth.
And Crimson goes, and if they call you out on it, just say, okay, boomer.
So let's go.
We're all awful people.
We want to thank all of our sponsors before we get started. Tectonic Crest Studios, thank you so much. When John comes back, which will probably be next week, we will do a giveaway because we also have some Creature Caster gift certificates to give away also, which thank you, Creature Caster, for helping and sponsoring the podcast and the paint stream and everything else. Muse on Minis, I want to thank them. They help sell some really cool stuff for us, and they help us out. Anything you buy from them, if you type in the all one word More Than Dice, you will get, I think it's like 10% off of your order, which is cool. And then Mechanica Studios for hosting our tournament and widget sets. I know that we have a lot of things we need to give tribute to this week, don't we, Kathy?
We do, but I didn't write them down.
I know. So. That's the reson why I have the chat right here, and I can pull it up.
I always rely on John, so it's a good thing that you're here.
Yeah, we have, where'd it go? Carol Spiney, which was a Sesame Street puppeteer, that passed away recently. Rene Auberjonois, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Auberjonois.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Passed away. And for people that don't know, who is that, Kathy?
Well, he played Clayton on Benson, which I used to watch, in my younger days, and he was Odo on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and he was Chef. He He was really really good voice actor in a lot of different things, but also chef in The Little Mermaid, yes.
Yep. And then Danny Aiello, which did Do the Right Thing. That's where I remember him most from. Passed away also. So, tribute to them. Kathy, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm just drinking a gin and tonic.
What?
Oh my
Never. You would
goodness, that
never
was
do that.
loud.
You would never drink a gin and tonic.
I would, and I would again, too.
I'm going with a good old Imperial Grind coffee stout from Mother's Brewing, which is based in St. Louis? Or no, Springfield, Missouri. Really, really good. This is where I get my coffee from. If I'm drinking coffee, this is it.
You get your coffee and your stout in the same place.
All in the morning. That's what I gotta do. So for all those that passed away, for all of our friends that are listening, for everybody that subscribes, listens, follows, does whatever, keeps the lights on, we thank
Pretty
you.
much everybody.
Yeah. Thanks,
Cheers. I
everybody.
mean, you can't see me. Actually, I guess you can see me. Look, here's my cup.
Cheers.
Usually, when we're doing this podcast, I have a face cam and not a model cam.
But we figured we would do some modeling and some painting.
Yeah.
If you're drinking anything right now, put it in the chat. Let's see what you're drinking. I like to know what people are drinking because some of that stuff is super, super cool. I've got to paint this model right
Liger
here.
Dragon is drinking water.
Wata, the drink of champions.
I also have water right here.
I don't. I'm bad. Okay, so I'm going to be working on Crossbones. I've got to paint. I'm going to do his face really quick because it's only white. And I'm going to, for people that don't know, I'm painting all the Marvel models with contrast paints, except for one model I didn't do in contrast, which was Ultron, because I couldn't get a good metal look. So he's not, but everybody else has been done in contrast paint so far. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the MCP models in contrast paints, which tomorrow I'm going to go pick up. Hopefully my store has the new Black Panther and Killmonger pack, so I can pick them up because Black Panther's so good in the game. So let me get this done real quick. So
I'm going to be decorating cookies tomorrow.
Well, yeah, isn't that like I mean, usually you've got like 80,000 cookies on the table,
Yes.
Dressed up, and usually your commission stuff gets kind of put to the wayside a bit while you're doing this.
Well, it's a day. It's only a day.
Oh, is it only a day? The way you were talking.
Yeah. And D&D is called off tomorrow night, so we're just decorating cookies all day. We're gonna maybe have a lunch date with Jim's sister, hang out with her for a bit, see what's new with her, and then it's cookie baking day all day tomorrow. After that,
all day, every day, even
Captain
on Sunday.
Izzy is drinking a Kraken Black Roast over there, and that sounds delicious.
My chat's not working. Oh well. Where's my picture? I had to look at Doc Ock the way they have him painted. Not that I have to paint it the way they painted it. I would just kind of like, I'm kind of curious.
True. I mean, you could just do like.
But I kind of wanted to do it in their paint scheme, just because relevant. The
Find
only one.
Full, like, comic book paint scheme or color scheme of him and do that.
Well, I know the one thing that I'm definitely going to be changing the paint scheme on is I think Captain America. I think I'm going to do his Winter Soldier outfit, which I call the blue jean outfit, where it's like a blue jean look, all the blue and everything is blue jean looking. I think that's what I'm going to do on him. So let me do this.
Huh.
All right, I'm going to get the yellow on his. Sorry.
On his what?
Okay. I got my resin printer going in the background. I thought I heard something weird going on. I was about to freak out. I'm going to do the yellow. He has boots, gloves, and shoulder pad area, and the little bitty thing right here is going to be done in Yadin yellow. and see what that looks like. Because that's what just happens. Because I'm weird like that. Because Crossbones is going to be, he's going to be primarily a black outfit, so it's going to be kind of simple and easy. Other than that. So, Kathy,
Woody.
since you're a commission painter, you have to do work. And what are you going to do when you have to go to, somebody's house and you've got
I don't
work that
have to
has to be
go
done?
anywhere this year
But what if you have to?
because that's what this is what happens when you paint for a living. I'm gonna pause right now in that answer and read the chat. Captain Mizzy assures us that Kraken Black Roast is delicious. And Trasharama is drinking a French drink called Diet Coke.
A French drink called Diet Coke.
Did
Okay.
I pronounce that correctly, Trasharama? Diet Coke? Just checking. So anyways, when your income is based on painting miniatures, sometimes you just have to say, I am so freaking busy, and you are literally so busy with the miniature painting and the live streaming and all of the things that go into making this your income that you don't have time. Now, my parents live in Minnesota. My family, that's where they're from. I'm not going to Minnesota this year. We went last year. We just don't have time. We have to work. And that's the bottom line. We just have to work. So when people say that they are self-employed and they can make their own hours, that's what that means. That means that your hours are every hour, really. Sometimes you can't make your family obligation. Sometimes you have to stay home and work. That's just how it is. So
So you're not
so
going to
I
go
will be
anywhere.
painting. I will be painting. Jim will be painting. We will be making. Well, Jim will be making his tutorial videos that he does, and he will be live streaming on YouTube, which is where he does it, and I will be live streaming here. I will be streaming Tuesday through Friday as usual this week, and I want to do a Christmas Eve stream. I don't, well, not in the evening, but I'm just gonna stream like I normally do on the day before Christmas. So I'll be around painting.
So what about whenever you, for some reason, my Twitch app is broken. What happens when you have to go somewhere but you still have to get work done? What do you usually do? Do you just kind of just like,
Take it with us.
yeah, but do you have like your own like travel kit, or you just make
Oh
your own
yeah.
travel kit, or
Oh
what?
yeah, yeah. We have. Well, that's the thing is the studio goes into upheaval because we don't have just a travel kit. So we have to kind of take apart parts of our studio to take certain paints with us, to take models, to take tools for prepping miniatures with us. All that stuff is the package because sometimes, when you have to go on the road with it, sometimes you're at a place where you be prepping models and just filing minis because you can talk to people and hang out at the kitchen table and set up just your I'm going to file minis, file mold lines, and assemble minis because it doesn't take a lot of uh,
Okay, here's a problem.
extra
You file mold lines. Who files
that's
mold lines?
people who take commission. People who are professionals. I don't judge if somebody doesn't want to file mold lines. I didn't file mold lines on my Marvel Crisis Protocol ones, but part of the reason is because those are pretty clean models
They
and
were.
didn't really require a whole lot of prep time except for the assembly.
Yeah, they didn't. Can't you get an intern to file your mold lines for you? No.
Yeah, no.
Because what happens if the intern gouges it out and you have to get a whole new model?
Also, what intern?
So I mean, do y'all have like a travel bag or a travel thing that y'all usually do or get, or what do you typically take with you whenever you have to go somewhere but still work?
Back when we used to go to the bunker every Wednesday, we used to Flag Your Dragon says I'll be Kathy's intern. Hooray! But you don't live anywhere near me, which sucks because that would be awesome. Um, when we were every week going to the game store,
Mm-hmm.
we both had kits that had like we had certain paints that we had doubles of. We had tools that we had doubles of and stuff. But now all that stuff is just kind of thrown together and I don't know. Just Isis says, I have a collapsible cup and my travel brushes. Yeah, I have travel brushes. This is this is one of my cases for my travel brushes. I have brushes in here. And then I have another box. And see I have these fancy water reservoirs, also good for washes and mixing paints and stuff. So I have stuff like that that goes with me. My wet palette goes with me. It doesn't stay wet. If I know I'm going somewhere, uh, I just take fresh paper with me. Fancy water reservoirs, right? In other words, bottle caps. I have a whole drawer full of bottle caps right next to me for any time I need to uh, put washes on my palette because I'm not going to put a wash right on my wet palette because that would thin it down too much and it would run everywhere. So fancy water reservoir. So yeah, so fancy water reservoirs are in my kit. I have uh I have just a little plastic box where it fits my bag of brushes. My Flago Dragon does not know what these bottle caps are that I speak of. It's a fancy word for water reservoir. But yeah, it's all my paints, my usual paints, my Reaper clears. But thank goodness that I don't have an extensive bunch of paints that I use all the time. I've got like probably 20 or 30 key paints, and I just take those paints and put them in a bag, like a grocery bag, because it's not like the bottles are breakable.
Trashorama says he rinses his brushes out in the toilet.
See? See?
So that's when
He's
you
always
definitely don't want to
thinking.
lick your brushes.
I do not lick my brushes. Oh, trash, yeah. You know what? Whatever makes you happy. I don't judge. Trasher Emma always licks his brushes, especially after he rinses them in the toilet.
Definitely, you're like my
But you
hero.
know what? I don't judge.
Nope, we don't judge anybody. Al Capone. I do have the Pro Acrylic Transparent line. I haven't had a chance to use them yet. They're sitting over here in my box. I'm going to be, once I finish painting up my Marvel Protocol stuff, I'm going to be working on some Judgment models, and I'm definitely going to be testing those out. Creature Casters, I'm going to be using the entire Creature Caster line on my Judgment models that I've got that I need to paint up for my game. But it's going to kind of go because I have to get a Night Watch army painted up for Adepticon.
I will be very curious how the Pro Acryl Transparents are, how similar they are to Reaper Clears, or if they're more similar to washes or the Reaper liner paints or contrast paints.
I could
I
probably.
just want to see what the properties are of them, and I don't have my hands on the transparency yet either. So we'll once I get my hands on those, I will have to use some in my stream, and I will, then everybody can see at the same time as I do what they're all about.
Um,
Dice is still trying to give up brush licking.
um,
I'm happy I never got into that habit.
oh, yeah,
It
I bet.
was very, very frowned upon in when I had art classes in high school, my teacher was like, some of these paints are incredibly toxic, phthalocyanide and cadmium red and cadmium yellow. They all have heavy metals in them.
Heavy
So,
metal.
yeah, you probably don't want to lick your brushes because you don't want to get into that habit because if you plan to be a painter, you are probably going to be using some of these ones that are more toxic, even though the ones that we were using in high school were not the toxic ones. He's like, you just don't want to get into that habit ever.
Yeah.
So, so that's where I'm coming from. I know there's a lot of people who don't care because miniature paints are probably non-toxic. They say that they're non-toxic, so who knows? They probably aren't.
Fingers crossed because I've been licking my brushes since the beginning
Fingers
of time.
crossed, because if they're made in China, you have no idea what their quality control is like.
What? Quality control in China? Yeah.
Trash Ram always looks as pretty. We already established that.
Yes.
Else,
Non-toxic does not mean
I've
non.
been
I mean, it doesn't mean
I've been
edible.
using washes, inks, clears, some contrast paints, and even the Chimera colors. So genuinely curious of how to see how they stack up. And Vlager Dragon says non-toxic isn't the same as edible. That is so very true. Like it might not poison you, but it's probably not good for you. Um, much like Hostess cupcakes.
Okay, so you definitely have a travel attire that you bring. Do you bring like your photo studio with you too?
Oh, good God, no.
Okay, I was kind of curious.
Now, if I'm traveling, I have no reason to bring my photo studio because if I finish miniatures while I'm there, wherever I am, uh, you know what? It can wait until I get home to photograph that stuff, and it's enough for me to just send somebody a phone image and say, "Look, I finished your model." If I really need them to know that it's done, and they will trust me.
Cool. On since you don't go, since you're not going anywhere this year for your family stuff, and you're just going to sit around, how are you going to do? Are you going to do anything with like normal, like local gatherings and stuff this year? You going to hang out with some locals?
Well, this past weekend I did. Jim actually did bring some stuff to work
Ah,
on. He got some Warcry models assembled. I think that's pretty much it. He didn't do any painting, but he just did some assembly because assembly is again one of those things that is you don't need a ton of concentration to just, to assemble and file models. So it's an easy thing where it's something that needs to get done, but it isn't going to take all of your concentration so you can still actually have fun and, communicate with other people.
socialize.
Yes.
What?
So
Socialize.
yeah, if you need to get work done, you get some hobby stuff done, bring something that just is assembly and mold lines and stuff because it's not so taxing that you can't still talk to your relatives or your friends or whatever if you absolutely need to be hobbying.
And what about since doing stuff, even though what's do you know any streamers? I mean, you said you're doing a Christmas Eve celebration hobby stream for yourself and such. I mean, do we know any like hangouts that were going on? Because sometimes they do like a Christmas Eve hangout for some people because not everybody can get a chance to go out. Not everybody wants to go out, and
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I'm sure there's other people doing that stuff. I can't be the only person who's streaming on the 24th.
Oh, no way. You can't be? What the heck? Well, I know that whenever I go somewhere and I don't want to socialize with my relatives,
Yeah.
I just don't. But I mean, I have a small travel kit that has like the stuff to like get mold lines, cut models. I bring a small bag, pretty much, is what it is,
Yeah,
and
I have
just
a
go.
little plastic container that fits all my prepping tools,
Yeah.
as I call them.
And so I don't have to worry about dealing with them because I don't like most of my family. But
Well,
sometimes I'm forced to, and
judgment, but yeah, I understand.
since I'm forced to, I have to.
Or Chris Gaming says I will definitely not be streaming Christmas or Christmas Eve. That's the kids' day. See, I don't have kids,
See, I mean
so
that's what I'm saying. I don't either. So I
yeah,
mean, that's something we have to think of. I mean, if you have kids,
yeah,
you're going to be doing stuff with your kids, Santa
absolutely.
Claus,
If I had
or
kids, I would be over the moon doing sappy Christmas stuff with them.
Sappy.
Yes, it would be sappy Christmas stuff. I would be making them watch stupid Christmas shows. We'd be watching the Rudolph and the Frosty and all that stuff, and the Charlie Brown, all that stuff. We'd be watching White Christmas because that's a personal favorite of mine. I'd be singing along, and they would be thinking I was a dork because I am. So, you know, that's what I would be doing if I had kids. Meanwhile, tomorrow Jim and I are just decorating cookies, and we will take them to our friends' holiday get-togethers, wherever they may be. I'll be bringing them to D&D. We'll be bringing them to New Year's Eve.
See, I don't. Luckily, I don't. I'm not forced to go anywhere most of the time now because everybody lives so far away. So I most likely will be doing my own painting. Probably won't do any streaming, of course, because I'm just going to be getting crap done around the house. Because I do have to get stuff done for Warfare Weekend. There's new stuff to be done on that, and some cool
Oh,
things are going. Which talking about convention, who all got the VIG ticket? Anybody else get VIG tickets? Because I
yeah,
didn't.
Cosmic Cubicle did, but is there anybody else in the stream who got the VIG for Adepticon? Because
Oh,
it's a
screw you,
lot of moving.
Orchrist.
Or
Uh,
Chris did. Oh, awesome.
I didn't get. I didn't even get on the
Sweet.
waiting list either. That's what kind of stunk. So I didn't get on the waiting list either.
You're just not good enough.
Get your relatives to follow your mode lines. No, no,
Get your relatives to, yeah,
no.
if you don't care how they're done. Why are all the left arms glued to the why are all the left hands glued to the right arms and vice versa? I don't know.
Let a scrub do your work.
I thought I thought this detail was a mold line. Oh no. Honestly, if they accidentally filed off the boob hammers on the iron golems, I'd be happy. It's like the golden ticket, right, for Willy Wonka.
The
Or
Adepticon
Chris,
VIG
that's, to be fair, Cosmic probably bought 10 tickets.
just to get it, and then you get rid of them all, and you just request refunds.
That would certainly be an interesting way to game the system.
Yeah, I mean, it is one way. I did, of course, I bought, the premium, so I at least get something.
Oh yeah, I did that too.
Um, but I didn't get a VIG. It's my first year for not getting a VIG. It kind of stinks. Because they always, it's one thing I really like.
You do
Always
get
good
good
VIG.
swag in the VIG thing, but
And the
that does
premium's still
not.
good swag, too. That's the thing. The VIG is just more swag.
Yeah.
So, well, for
I'm
those
looking
that got it,
forward to it though, and not even for I don't really care about the swag. There were a few years where I volunteered where I didn't even register at all.
Well, I registered for 2 games besides the premium. I registered for. I was one of the lucky few that got into the Marvel event because they only had 32
Oh,
slots.
nice. Nice. Yeah,
So,
I heard somebody talking about, well, why don't they just add more tables?
oh yeah, because that's just easy to do, right, Kathy?
And I'm sure that you running the Warfare Weekend know how easy it is to just be like,
Oh yeah, here you go.
we have a finite amount of room and a finite number of tables that are owned by the hotel and a finite number of tables that we own and a finite number of tables that we can rent.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yeah, because we actually had to.
only so many tables will fit in a room as it turns out.
What?
Yeah, I know. I know.
No. Nuh-uh. I mean, spatial anomalies and everything, just take that into account and bend and fold space.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize. I didn't think of that. I will absolutely
Take it to the committee.
take that to the committee, yeah.
Tell them just fold space and time. You'll get more tables.
We could do tesseracts.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I didn't even look how many slots were there. It just says, "Oh, I'm gonna be doing the Song of Ice and Fire on this day because that's the one that I wanted to do." And I was like, "Oh, this Marvel one's open," and I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna do this one." And then all of a sudden, I got my ticket done, waiting in line for VIG, and then everybody was like, "What the hell? I didn't get into the Marvel one," and I'm like,
I
"Oh,
I am pleased that Marvel Crisis Protocol is doing so well that there are so many people who wanted to play it there.
yes."
But it did just come out in November, and I'm sure they weren't completely positive how popular it was going to be, you know.
I mean, because they now at Adepticon, do they have to pay for their spots? Like, does
I don't
Marvel
know.
have to pay for table space?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. I was kind of curious. Because some conventions require that and some don't. So
But I know there's tons of people
yes,
that have games that want to run tournaments at Adepticon, and not all of them can because there's just not enough room. And so hopefully next year, they'll have more tables and more space and everything.
maybe. All right, let's get the green on Doc Ock because this yellow is dry. Think we can do that?
Yeah, so it is painting red. That's what I'm doing right now, in case people, were wondering what's Kathy doing. Painting red. Just painting red. I have 2 guys left to paint this red on, and I'm hoping to finish them. I was hoping to finish them by the end of tonight. I don't really know that that's going to happen. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. I am simply upping the saturation of my reds in the midtones. I want to leave this sort of uh, lighter color as a sort of highlight midtone, and yeah, just building up some saturation.
You know how you and I were talking about before the stream? We actually started talking about the Marvel Crisis Protocol, about how some on the miniatures that if you're new to miniature building or whatever, that this could be a challenge for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is understandable. I mean, it's not unheard of because they are kind of fiddly and a little small in
They're very
spots.
fiddly and small in spots, yes.
And so Captain Mizzy just sent me something going, I'm going to need help with Iron Man. And I'm like, yeah, one, she messed up Iron Man to begin with, and so I have to help her no matter what. But then she sent me, goes, don't you dare laugh at me on stream. And
You're
it's just
so
making me
mean.
laugh more. So, sorry, Mizzy. I'm going to
So
have to.
mean, Mizzy. Next time, send me a message.
So,
Yeah, if you're just starting out with miniatures, the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff will be a challenge. If you've put together Malifaux miniatures or the newer Games Workshop stuff, then you'd probably be able to figure it out. But there's a lot of crazy, fiddly, silly, tiny stuff involved with these models. I was able to just follow the instructions as they were in the book. They have expanded instructions that are they on the website or are they pinned to their Facebook
I think
page?
they're at least the link is pinned. I think is what it is. But
Yeah,
yes,
so they
they
have
did.
more in-depth instructions on how to assemble those guys on their website.
Well, Mizzy accidentally glued two pieces upside down.
Was it the thighs?
Yes, it was the thighs. It was one of
See,
the
you
thighs.
are not the. I didn't actually do that, but I knew that it was going to be a trouble spot, so I really, really looked at all the details on the thighs before I put them together because I didn't want to make that mistake, and I saw that it would be easy to make that mistake. So, I I suspect there are a lot more people who have made that mistake. You're not alone, Captain Mizzy. That's a complicated part. Hi, Iffy Paints.
What? Who is it that just came in?
Me and Gonzo are just we're just hobbying. We're dual hobbying tonight.
Talking about what to do during the holidays for painting and such, and how you can get
Trash
at
Haha. Haha. Trash
socializing.
goes, I have glued my thighs together a few times. Yeah, but that's you.
So, another thing I thought was interesting about, or what you can do, is if you have family members that are actually kind of cool, you could bring stuff to demo with them, or do like a little paint and take with them if they're kind of cool family members. Not everybody is. I
I could
mean,
do that with my brother.
yeah. I mean, I don't have any family members that would, but I mean, if I had like some nieces or nephews that were youngish, that would be something cool to do to kind of keep your geek on without having to worry about it, and not feeling like you're the pariah of the family, type thing. I definitely, this is my last week of school until the holiday break, and I'm gonna definitely be bringing some games for my kids to play so we can have a cool holiday week because
What
we're not.
kind of games? Like board games?
No, I'm actually gonna bring my Marvel Crisis Protocol because all my kids. I have mostly boys in my classroom. One girl, and she likes doing this stuff too. But they're all into the Marvel stuff because I actually brought my Marvel miniatures in one day because I was going to the game store and I didn't want to leave them in the car. And so I missed some yellow there. And so I brought them in and we talked about it and we discussed like math on the dice because even though they're not numbered dice, there still is a math consistency behind the numbers.
Oh, like
How often will stuff?
probabilities
Yep,
and stuff?
probabilities. And so we talked about that, and I brought my terrain in because I know about my 3D printer and stuff. Like every year, I 3D print something for my kids as a, graduation, whatever. They're third and fourth graders, but still. Last year, I 3D printed Pokeball keychains for them and
Oh,
such. But so I figured this week I'm probably going to bring my Marvel Crisis for them and let them, we'll just play some simple games, not worry about the rules too much, just the basic concepts of, beat 'em up type thing and just have a good time because, I mean, they're not going to want to do shit this week. And they're,
uh-huh.
they're, they're already checked out. They've been checked out all week anyway, so.
Yeah, I've been excited.
Well, Dr. Octavius is pretty much done. They're talking about your Iffy Paints is talking about your blood
It looks
fingers.
like I cut myself. That's what Fliger Dragon said. She's like, "Why are you bleeding?" She's like, "I know it's paint, but you know, yeah, it's. I think we've all done that thing where we didn't wash the paint off our hand, and then we went to the grocery store or someplace, and they're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" They're like, no, no, I'm fine, really. It's just paint. This is the perfect red for that, though.
But I mean, that's something else you can do. I mean, if you have, especially younger kids, and you have a game that the younger kids can play, and I don't even worry about the rules as much, just give them something to do. That's not a bad, way to kind of spend the time. Where's my skeleton horde?
That's a whole nother subject, Gonzo. Trying to get the younger kids into a game without boring them to tears with the rules and stuff.
That is true. That it is a really good one. We can always talk about, because I mean, a lot of games you can kind of dumb down, and I don't want to say that that's word for it, but you can kind of dumb it down just so they can have some fun. Stick to the basic concepts. Oh, you need a 6 to hit, so you got to roll a 6 to hit, type thing. But get it where it's who cares if they mismeasure by an inch or whatever. It's not doesn't fucking matter. It's you're having fun with your kids, or having fun with kids, I should say. Not even just your kids, but just nieces and nephews, because some people don't have kids. But I mean, or board games. I mean, there are so many good kid board games, or kid-friendly board games. You motherfucking cap. Sorry, this contrast paint cap is bugging the shit out of me. It won't stay open.
Use your teeth. That's what I do.
It's open. It just won't stay open.
Use your teeth.
Oh, just use my teeth to keep it open. Hold it in my mouth.
I'm a terrible person. I'm an awful influence, and kids should never do what I say. The cap is sticking. Use your teeth. Thanks, Aunt Kathy.
But there's a let's go more. There's a lot of good things that you can do to keep with kids and let kids do things and not be crazy with it. I mean, go have fun. Even though if you don't, especially if you like your family, go have some fun times with them. Go introduce them to stuff that I mean, we all got cool board games. Go find some of your cool board games and have fun with that. I mean, heck, especially if you have like your family and friends, or your family, because I mean, one of the things that's happening now that's becoming a big tradition is no longer family Christmases, but friendly Christmases, where you
Yes,
just
Friendsmas time and Friendsgiving.
yeah.
All the friend holidays for the people whose family are their friends.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
you
mean,
don't live near your family. You don't get along with your family.
go do bring some of those cool board games, especially if they're into it. Like Gloomhaven is like a good one that you could bring. Anything that's a long one, because you're going to be with each other for a while. I mean, bring some of the cool stuff.
Run some D&D.
Oh, yeah, you could do that too.
You know, my brother is my brother and I have always been geeky together, and he is the one who started playing D&D. He used all his paper out money to buy D&D books, and I would sit in and watch while he ran D&D for his friends, and he was like 10. I know there's a lot of people out there who are parents who played D&D when they were younger and want to introduce their kids to it. But
Perfect time.
including people that I play D&D with regularly. And let's play diplomacy this holiday season.
Oh, that'd be. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I hate all of you. Look, I brought diplomacy. Anyways, so what I see is people who are parents who are running games, but I'd like to say that I'd like to see those parents encouraging their kids to run games.
Yeah.
If my brother could run good games when he was 10, you know, my friends' teenage kids who like to play, they could also be running games. I would encourage the kids to be running the game for the other kids, because I've seen parents get a little parenty about how their kids are playing D&D. And by that I mean, correcting their kids because they're parents and they want their kids to do the thing right because all parents want their kids to do all the things right. Uh, but they have that temptation to be parents while they're all playing D&D, and I think it kind of stresses the kids out a little bit. I mean, yeah, they're having fun playing D&D, but I think they would have more fun if they were playing with other people their own age, and if the person running the game was also their age.
Yeah, I mean, find someone because you'll have to take your kid.
Trasharama. I believe the children are the future. That's exactly it.
But
I
I mean,
believe the children are the
you could
future.
set that up easily too. You could go, you know, hey Johnny, we got all your cousins coming over. You want to run a D&D campaign, and we can get them all started on their characters before they get here, and blah 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 blah, and get it started up. I mean, because you
Yeah.
could set that up well in advance, and it kind of gets them, excited to come over and play.
And then the kids don't have that pressure of playing with the adults and stuff. A lot of the other kids their own age, they'll all make up their weird kid shit that kids make up because they're awesome at that. But why you gotta not mute
Sorry,
yourself?
airbrush decided to come on. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean that's something that you could introduce. I mean,
How
if
cool would it be to have like a little holiday session of D&D? Or, even like let one of the kids run and try not to be all parenty when you're playing in your kids, game and be encouraging. Freaking
let
awesome.
let them have their fun.
Anyways, that's
For you that have kids and do your big bright families and all that stuff, that's all up to you. I don't have any, but I know if I did, I would definitely. My kids were into geeky stuff. I was like, hey, why don't you run a D&D campaign for your cousins? A one shot. Grab a module, or whatever, and just go for it. Let them have fun with it. Sync right away. Okay. Sorry. I mean, that would be something really cool to do. Another thing is find good stuff to watch. You don't have to watch Christmas stuff, Kathy, but
shut up. Of course I do.
you could, you know, watch. What are some good Christmas movies that are family friendly besides Die Hard?
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who's always has a Christmas special. That is true. I mean, you could do anything. Good long movies are really good. So if you're like into, Lord of the Rings or stuff, you put on the, Lord of the Rings, and that
The
could
one
be.
that, oh, everybody falls asleep if they're
Yep.
not super into it.
Yep. Hey, that's always something you can do. Was it Rise of the Guardians? That's actually not a bad one. That is true. That's another good Christmassy
Oh,
style
yeah.
movie. You could always do that. I mean, what's this? Like Crimson Die Hard. It's always a good Christmas movie. Um, but I mean, there's definitely a tons of movies that you can
Gremlin.
put on. Yeah, the Gremlins ones. It's appropriate type thing. So I mean, there's plenty of stuff that you can do movie wise. What's some other good Christmas movies that are non-Christmassy but are pretty cool? You can make a drinking game out of Hallmark movies. If you're an adult, yeah, you could do a drinking Hallmark drinking game. Um, every time
You
something
almost
happens.
have to.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to be watching the Hallmark stuff, you pretty much have to.
Yeah, because the Hallmark stuff is annoying. Like was one of them? Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously. Well, and of
Oh,
course, Mizzy.
yeah.
I actually wanted to show that off to my kids, but I can't because it's a little too spooky for some of my youngins,
Yeah.
which is okay. But I love that movie. Which we did have a Friday the 13th in December, which was cool. Thought that was interesting. But I mean,
You
you.
know, I kind of thought that you just said that you guys watched Friday the 13th. And I was like, wow, but The Nightmare Before Christmas is too creepy. Then my brain caught up with what you were saying.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some decent non-traditional Christmas movies out there that are Christmas themed that you can watch. A Home Alone is one. I mean, it's not your typical Christmas movie, but it is a Christmas themed movie or holiday. Another great one if you have it, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
You know what's an awesome movie? And back me up here, fellow dorks. The Hogfather, based on the Terry Pratchett Discworld book, The Hogfather.
I've never seen it. I know who Terry Pratchett is. I've never heard of the book.
It is amazing.
Never heard of it.
That's well, Discworld is a whole different universe,
Yep.
and the Hogfather is kind of like Santa, like some sort of a pagany sort of kind of Santa-ish thing. Anyways, he disappears, and Death ends up having to stand in as the bringer of gifts and good cheer. If you can imagine Death filling that role.
I could.
It's so funny.
Edward Scissorhands. Yeah, it's a Hollywood. It's a holiday that happens around then.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Oh
Oh my god,
man.
yes.
Yes.
The Muppets are a timeless classic no matter what.
Yes. Fifth Element as a holiday one. Does it happen around a holiday? It's a great movie. It's one of my top 5 movies of all time. But yeah, I get what
Right.
you're saying.
The Star Wars Holiday Special. You know, I was kind of thinking about that, but
If you
I
want to
wasn't
torture
going
your
to be the
family,
one to say that.
if you want to torture your family members, oh shit.
Wait, Crimson says, "How could we be missing the best Christmas movie ever? Was it? It was the Star Wars Holiday Special." Okay, yeah. Just catching up with the chat.
And it is. That's something that you can do. Hold on. Hate when you don't get enough paint on your brush.
Uh-huh.
Because you try to get.
That's almost as annoying as when you get too much paint on your brush. You're over here like putting your brush on your model and wondering why nothing's happening.
This red didn't get shook up enough. No wonder. All right. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your red. But yeah, I mean that's some other stuff you can do. Is just get cool holiday movies that are not if depending on how religious you are, if you're not religious at all, but you're just celebrating a holiday, those cool things like that. Like the Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. That's the one thing that people don't understand that. Okay, so my kids were watching the Dark Crystal new series, and they were like, "This is really cool, but why do their mouths move a little bit different? And why don't we ever see like their feet that much?" And I'm like, "Cause it's puppets." They're like, "Nuh-uh." And then we watched the behind the scene thing, and they're like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Yeah, the sets are actually really, really tall, and where they're actually walking isn't the ground; it's an elevated platform." Especially now,
They're Muppets.
yeah. But they don't understand that concept as much because there's not much puppeteering done anymore. It's, what do you say, a dying art form in it, pretty much.
Unless you're watching Sesame Street.
Yeah, but see, some kids don't understand that either.
That's sad.
That's real sad. Oh, I just ate red paint. I'm gonna die.
Cadmium red is the best red. It tastes the best. I'm just over here painting my darks, so don't mind me. The best podcast is the one where neither of us is talking because we're both painting. But, we've
Yeah.
reached that point here where I'm like, I just need to, you know, hold my breath and do this thing.
Al Capone's make a really great comment on here. My favorite is to do eyes. Oh, look, I have it dialed in. Nothing's coming off the brush. Add more paint, water. Oh, look, I have flooded the eye
Oh
socket.
God, yes, yes.
It's
Every
exactly what I did.
single time, Al Capone, you are not the only one.
Yeah.
I have to try like 4 times to paint eyes before it actually works right.
Yep.
And I've been painting a lot of eyes over the course of the last 15 years.
No, that's not. Where's my
I count
metallic?
myself very lucky if it goes on the first try.
Gunmetal. There it is. The only thing I can't paint contrast wise on these is metal. Metal contrast just can't do metal in my opinion.
Now, if you do metal and you do a contrast paint over like a teacup, it's full of delicious Earl Grey tea. Mm. What I was saying is, if you do metal, is there like can you use what's
Contrast
that
over
off,
it?
what's that off-white, or do they have a contrast paint that's for going over metal? Like I know
No.
they have glossy Nuln Oil in addition to regular
Uh
Nuln
huh.
Oil.
Well, because it was like my Iron Man that I did, which I could probably pull him out. I painted over his entire body with what is it? Shining Silver by Army Painter because it's a really really bright silver. Put a thin layer of that all over the entire model, and then after that, after it was dried, I used my reds and blues and whatever, my reds and yellows over the top of it, so it has a shiny metallic look to it. But you have to paint a metallic over it first. So I mean that's what I did for Iron Man, and it turned out really well. It was the first time I've done it. I've seen it done before, but it turned out really really well. I was really impressed by it. If I ever do colored metal again, I thought I would do it.
Okay, so Al Capone goes Apothecary White is the off-white. That's the one I was thinking of. That's the one that is kind of a once you paint it over white, it kind of settles into the crevices as sort of a grayish color. But yeah, maybe that wouldn't be enough for a metallic. Wouldn't be dark enough.
No,
But the thing with putting another paint over metallic is if it's not glossy, it's going to kill the what makes that metallic paint so shiny.
yeah. I mean, I am going to do a null oil wash over all of this anyway because it just deepens everything and makes it look super cool. Um, Crossbone is pretty
But
much
you can
done.
always go. I wonder if it works if you go glossy over your matte finish on metallic if it brings back that shine. I don't know if I don't paint a lot of metallic paints. I do non-metallic metals, so I don't know all the ins and outs of painting metallics. If there's anybody in the chat who is more experienced at painting with metallic paints, do you know if that works? If you can just paint a glossy coat over your wash on metallic paint, if that brings back some of that shine.
I haven't had any metallics ever come back once, especially after it's sealed. When you use the dull coat, it turns it. It's still metallic looking, but it's definitely done.
Even if you do a glossy
Yeah,
over
it
the metallic.
it takes out the metallic look to it, and you're just kind of like, okay, it's metal looking, but it's not shiny. Is that the best way to put it?
Right, right. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because you don't use metallic that much, hardly ever, isn't it?
Yeah, hardly ever.
Hardly
When
ever.
I do, uh, It's awful because I don't do it very often. I mean, it's not awful, but it's just not as it's not as good as it could be, I think. Crimson says just do your metallics last after you varnish, or at least like the highlight parts of it, because I know that I've heard I've heard people who are good at painting with metallic paint say that as you shade darker, your transition from shiny to matte is also a thing to take into account. So you have a transition from lighter to darker, but you also have a transition from shiny metallic to uh, matte as it gets into the darker values, into the shadows,
Well, it's also a
which
reason
I think
why
is interesting.
a lot of people um, dry brush metal, because if you do a black over it, do a black first and then dry brush metal over it, it'll still keep the metal dark look to it even after you've done your sealing type thing. But it still dulls it down still. There's nothing to get away from that. Once you seal it, it's always going to be dulled down. Unless you do, because I know that one of the things that one of our local guys does is he uses metallic pins. And so he paints the model up, seals it, and then takes a metallic pin and paints over everything so it, gets whatever color or whatever shininess that he's looking for
Huh.
in it. Because I know that recently he did a Blood Bowl army, and it was a human army, and the guy was like, I want my shoulder pads to be, shiny metal. And he was like, okay, well, he was thinking about how he could do that. And what he had to do is he had to get a chrome pin and paint the entire model and then go back with a chrome pen and after it was sealed and be done.
That's cool to know.
Yeah, that's what he did.
I have a Liquitex. I don't know where it is. I'm look I'm looking at it. I'm like up here? No. Down here? No. Probably behind my monitor where I can't reach it right now. But it's a Liquitex uh, silver metal ink,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes in a dropper bottle. You shake it up, and it is amazingly metallic. And I've used that for painting metals for my lightest highlight, just for the edges of stuff, because it's so far outshines every other metallic paint. It's insane.
Crimson says to
So I
use
would
a Molotov liquid chrome.
I have never heard of that.
Neither have I.
But Liquitex also makes gold, and I think they make a copper if you want a super shiny, almost like foil shiny, sort of an ink for doing like your lightest highlights. It's crazy. Now I have to read Crimson's whole thing. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that the reason why my metallics were looking bad was because dull coat makes things less shiny. I took a class on metallics from Dave Taylor at Capone once, and that is where I learned that.
Yeah, anytime you use dull coat, it will dull the shininess down. Doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look shiny. And even
Yeah.
if you do a gloss over it, it's just glossy, non-metallic.
Huh.
So I'm almost done with these two, with all the bases, just besides the base.
It is time for the media section. Do you have media things to talk
I
about?
do have a few media things.
So, for people who aren't familiar with our with More Than Dice at 8 o'clock, we switch to our media section where we talk about movies, TV shows, books we've read, and other types of media that we just kind of review and talk about.
Um, yeah. Do you have anything to do? You have anything today, Kathy?
So, last week, Jim and I finished Lucifer and decided we would start watching. some other show that we found on Netflix, and this one was called High Seas, and it's a Spanish show, but it's dubbed. I could not figure out how to make subtitles work on this show,
Ooh,
so we had to settle for dubbed. But
okay.
it, it takes place in what we think is the late 1930s,
Okay.
and because it's not 100% clear, and maybe if you live in Spain and know Spanish history, the high Trashorama, you make me laugh. Anyways, it takes place on this transatlantic cruise ship. They're not a cruise ship. I mean, it's a liner. It's a steam liner, and it is going from Spain to Brazil. And murder happens because you know how I like
Murder mysteries.
my international murder mysteries. Uh, but I really liked it. There are parts where Jim's like, "Yeah, this is moving really slow. Uh, they could have cut out certain things. It's starting to drag." Um, I don't know if we're almost at the end of the first season, and Jim said, "I think there's a second season of this," and I'm like, "How long is this voyage? I know it's a steamliner, but
Damn.
if it's only been a couple of days and all these people have died,
Don't
like
think you just jump off or something.
it's like the murder boat. It's the opposite of the love boat, really. But there's some interesting things going on in it, and I will definitely be watching more of it. So I might give it one space herpy. I find it to be interesting, but yeah, there are places where it drags, and I wish I could figure out how to turn the uh, the subtitles on.
That's weird. There isn't.
Yeah,
You should. I mean, with
because
Netflix, you
it
should be able to
it
do it.
it ended up looking more like closed caption, you know, and they still spoke in English. I mean, they didn't speak English, but you know what I'm saying? It was still dubbed in English. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I didn't want it to be in English. I want it to be in the native language it was recorded in, but read the English. And that was not happening. Plus, the way the subtitles slash closed caption was, some of them were at the top of the screen and some were at the bottom,
What?
which was really jarring because every other international show that I've watched, subtitles are all at the bottom,
Yeah.
always. They don't jump around the screen like that. So that was kind of weird.
That is kind of weird. Usually they're all at the bottom in one way, and that's about it, and you
Yeah,
just go
that's
with
why I
it.
was thinking, well, maybe it's closed captioning and that's some way of indicating that one person is talking and now another person is talking. I don't know.
Weird.
But yeah.
You
So
always watch.
that's was the high seas. Murder on the High Seas. It's not Murder on the High Seas. It's just called High Seas. And not high seas like it's about a juice mix. It's
Dang it!
silly.
I was about to do that, and you had to ruin it for me. Why you gotta ruin a
So
good joke?
what about you, Gonzo? You've been watching anything?
So I finished. I guess at one point I watched the new Green Eggs and Ham, for myself,
Mhm.
and so I started watching it with my kids because, of course, like I says, on Fridays if the kids are good, a certain group of people they can, we can watch something on Netflix. It's called our Fun Friday thing,
Cool.
and so I put on Green Eggs and Ham, the new Netflix series, which if you have not watched it as an adult, go watch it. It's amazing. It's incredibly good, and it's good humor that is not space food. You know how there's some humor on the shows that it's like, oh, this joke was meant for the adults, not for the kids.
Like Looney Tunes?
Yeah, and there's none of that. It's all good quality, like some good dad jokes, just some good, breaking the wall jokes, just stuff like that. Just good quality jokes. that anybody can get. Highly recommend it. If you have kids, 100% recommend it for your kids, no matter what age, because it's just pretty fun. And my kids finally finished it, and they loved it to death. They were like, "When's season 2 coming out? When's season 2?" And I'm like, "Well, you're just gonna have to wait, because that's just that's what it is. We live in an era where everything is binge watched, and whenever a show comes out that isn't binge watchable, people freak out." And so we've been watching that for a bit, and I still give it good ratings. It's still good. 0 to 1 space herpes for the show. Highly recommend it for anybody, because you can watch it while you're doing something, or you could just sit and watch it, period. But it's great quality entertainment. I highly recommend it. And then I watched get ready, The Expanse.
Oh yeah, that's on our must-see TV right now. Now that The Expanse is out, Jim and I are going to be watching that.
Yeah, The Expanse
And he
came
was
out.
like, "Oh, let's just not watch the high seas. Let's watch The Expanse." Yeah.
So the new season of The Expanse came out now on Amazon, which people were wondering how it's going to do, if it's going to look good, are they going to jack it up, if it's going to be a problem. So I believe the budget increase for special effects went up, because I think they did a much better job this time on special effects. Because the special effects were pretty good to begin with, but you can definitely tell that they upped the special effects. Without giving a spoiler, I haven't finished the entire season yet. I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes away from the new season. But from completing the season, I should say, not from the season.
Yeah.
The story is about what happens after they go through the gate. Of course, the political intrigue that goes along with all of it. But it also follows one group of people that landed on a new planet, and they're trying to colonize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I'm not going to spoil it, of course, but that's pretty much what the story is about. There's the political fights, and so on and so forth that are still going on. Sorry, but they did up the value a bit on stuff, and they did start doing things where they cuss freely a bit more. You can tell that they were okay with things.
Because it's on Netflix and not.
Amazon, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of nudity, sex in it and stuff. So I mean, there's definitely, they kind of gave them a little bit more freedom and letting them do it a little bit more, due to the fact that it is on a pay channel and not sci-fi.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Amazon, not Netflix. My mistake.
Yeah, but you can tell that they were like, "Oh yeah, you want to show a girl's ass? Go right ahead. We don't care." Type thing. So I mean, was what was going on. Colonized. It was. I think I'm only like 2 or so episodes away from the finale, series finale. I binged a lot of that, and I'm liking it. It's still solid entertainment, still really good, still The Expanse. There wasn't any difference in it. I wasn't like, dang, this is not going to be The Expanse. Or, I didn't feel like it was The Expanse, but on Amazon. There was only a very little amount of that, because, you're like, oh, they don't care about dropping, whatever F-bombs or whatever.
Well, that
Or,
was in the last season
correct,
too.
they did do that, but you can tell that they're kind of more free with it, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
They're like, you can tell if they picked and choose when it was on sci-fi. Now there's like, fuck him. Story is still solid. Characters are still good. Writing is still good. I'm sure they kept most of the writers of the show whenever it was on sci-fi. So I mean, it's the Expanse that we're used to. So I mean, there's no difference. besides maybe
Glad,
up in the adult factor a bit.
glad to hear it.
So pleasantly happy about it. No complaint. So far, zero space herpes. But you can definitely tell that like they got a budget increase on stuff. So kudos for them. I was really impressed. I really really enjoyed it. I can't wait to finish it. We'll have to wait and see. Ooh, I need the white, not that. So we'll have to wait and see where everything else goes. But I have no problem with it whatsoever. So if you like The Expanse and you're more worried about it, don't be. It's still super solid. Give me 1 second. I do know that the new Wonder Woman trailer dropped, if anybody would like to talk about that. Wonder Woman 1984, the trailer for that dropped just recently, and I'm cautiously optimistic about it, but that's just kind of me. DC doesn't have a very good record of, doing movies right,
The last
and
Woman was good though. It was on point.
yeah, it was. That's the reason why I say I'm cautiously optimistic because I think it was. Is one of the better ones. Don't have an issue with it. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's interesting the trailer because I was like, who is the main bad chick? Who is the main bad guy? And I really couldn't tell by the thing because it just wasn't, like thrown in my face, I guess. So I had to look it up, and it's Cheetah is the current bad person in this. I don't know if there's going to have anybody else. But it looked good. It looked fun. Definitely going to watch it when it comes out because, it's one of the very few DC movies that are worth a damn. Gotta stretch my back up. So I'm cool with it. I like it. It'd be interesting. I thought it was interesting the way they're going to take the story because it is based in 1984. The reason why it's called Wonder Woman 1984. But I'm kind of iffy on the plot line because they bring certain people back, and I'm just like, why didn't you just leave it like it was? But
Huh.
never can't do anything right. Got to do whatever to get stuff done, get viewers. Damn it, stay open, bottle. I'm trying to get Dr. Ock's hair done because that's the last. I'm gonna give him a dark hairdo, dark brown hairdo. Usually
And
he's black.
now at the highlight point on this Iron Golem. And should I finish that before the stream is over tonight, I will have only one remaining Iron Golem on which to finish my red.
What are you going to paint this week, by the way?
Well, the red is finished. I'll be painting the little crazy there's these little crazy nodules that are on their skin. Most people are painting them like metal studs or spikes. And I'm going to go for the bony mutation look for them with some inflamed tissue around each one. And once that part is done, then my iron golems will be finished. Then I just paint the edge of the base black and
Looks for boo
done.
horrors.
Finally, and then I will get to paint my Marvel Crisis Protocol models.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are we going to paint those? I did. Watch. Where is it? I did notice that Highlander, Outlander, the new series of Outlander is
Oh,
going
I
to
was
be.
gonna say, wait, a
Mhm.
Highlander movie?
Which there's also going to be, which I will be reviewing the new season of Lost in Space. There's a lot of stuff coming out during the winter break. I'm like, yes, please, yes, please, yes, please.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So we'll
I
have
still
definitely let.
haven't seen any of Lost in Space.
Oh, I loved the season. It
The
was
new
really
one.
good. I liked it a lot. It was really 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 really
Hearing some
interesting.
good things about it. Yeah.
I like it. It's a good type thing going on. We do have the not Last Jedi, Rise of the Skywalker this weekend too.
Right.
So we got that, which is I'm probably going to be watching and seeing that when it comes out. Of course, probably have to go see it a couple of times with a bunch of different people.
Isn't
Goes
that that's what you take your kids to see?
well. See, I'm off Friday.
I mean, not you specifically, but in general, people who have kids.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
If you
going to be
buy
so
kids, I'd
packed.
take them to see Star Wars.
Like this Friday, I'm off work. Um, so I'm gonna hang out with one friend first Friday morning, and then probably go hang out with some other people Friday afternoon. But I'll probably be seeing Star Wars a couple of times because I know I'd see it with spouse, and I know Captain Mizzy wanted to go see it, and she's probably gonna force me and drag me to go see it with her, which I'm okay with. She's kind of weird, but you just got to deal with that when you have friends.
I love Captain Mizzy.
Well, you're going to meet her at Adepticon, by the way.
Yay!
Captain Mizzy is coming to Adepticon.
I am so looking forward to. There's like a whole bunch of people that I will be meeting at Adepticon this year, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed out I didn't get to go last year, so I'm really looking forward to this year.
We have
And
been.
playing this year, because I got to get my Night Watch painted up. Marvel, I'm not too worried about. Night Watch, I
You'll
am.
enjoy your Song of Ice and Fire stuff because uh, I know the guy who is running the tournament, and he's really good at running tournaments.
Good.
And he's been running a bunch of primers leading up to it just to work the kinks out of his system.
Good. Treasure on my baby. Says he'll be up there on
Iffy Pates
Thursday.
goes looking for boob hammers. Well, here's some boob hammers. Boob hammers. Now I've said it 3 times. We'll see if Slave One shows up. He's not usually here on a Sunday night because he spends time with his family, unlike the rest of us heathens.
um,
And Rise of Design, hey, how you doing? The dad role is really cool in Lost in Space, and the 3D printed gun is really cool also.
Well, talking about 3D printing, I need to check on my baby Yoda. Which, if anybody didn't notice, I did get a resin 3D printer, and we're going to do an episode eventually on 3D printing, period, and talking about it because it is kind of coming to be the wave of the future type thing of terrain and everything. Ooh, baby Yoda's coming
Mm-hmm.
around really nice.
Wait, Trashorama, are you going to be at? You might be at Adepticon on Saturday. Is
Might.
that what I'm seeing? Oh, that would be cool. Did I finish the highlights on this spread on this guy? I think I did.
What else? I did not get to watch a lot this week because I was so busy doing stuff. I was checking my Netflix queue and I didn't see anything that I was trying to watch. So I mean, there really wasn't. I do have a bunch of stuff on it. I do know that my kids are gonna. Oh, I did watch the new season of Magic for Humans, which is about a guy that's a street magician, and it just wasn't as good. The first one was pretty decent, pretty funny, had some good things going for it, but this season was just kind of meh. He didn't do anything really cool, and he did some stuff that was just like normal to street magicians. Usually he does some really good things and really funny and interesting stuff, and it was just meh.
Oh, hey, Gonzo. Rise to Design wants to know which printer you have. He has the CR10.
My FDM printer is a Creality 3D Pro. My resin one is a Photon S. If you find me on Facebook, which everybody's more than welcome to just look me up and you can find me. You can go to our More Than Dice and send me a friend request. I don't have a problem with it. I post a lot of stuff. I haven't posted it on our More Than Dice page, but I do post a lot of stuff on there. I've been printing a lot a lot of stuff out for my Marvel Crisis Protocol table when I get it, so I can have a full table of terrain. So I did a lot of that. That's what my printer. Because here, what's funny is someone asked me about, hey, I want you to print that 3D terrain out, and I'll pay you for it. And I was like, okay. So I went and looked at it, and for this person, what they wanted, which wasn't, it was what I'm paying or what I'm doing for my own table. And he was like, I want this, 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 and this, and just gave me a list. And I said, okay, because I'm printing out the Corvus terrain, that is which is really good terrain for the Marvel Crisis stuff. And I figured out, did all the STL files, and found out how much it would, how much material it would be, and time and all that. And I was like, dang. And then I went and kind of priced it because I was interested, because I mean, I'm not going to jack it up so I can make a huge profit, but I do want, time and effort. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't going to, oh, this is going to be, cost me $8 billion. I'm, charge you an arm and a leg. And I was like, dude, it is better if you just go and buy it from these people that do it, because the time it takes, because I only have one printer and I have to upsize it for the Marvel Crisis. It was going to be roughly about 120 hours on my printer to print out what he wanted, and it would have cost about $300.
Yikes.
And I was like, now it's a full table's worth of terrain, so it wasn't, whatever, but it would cost roughly about, $300 to get it done. And I'm like, dude, it's better if you just go there. And I started thinking about why it was better to do that. And it's because they have printer farms. They have like 10 or so printers that are printing off what they have, while I only have one. So what would take me, 4 days to print out one building, they can do it in a day because they have 4 printers doing it, type thing. And I was like, that's what it is. Now, my resin printer is a whole different story. I've already gotten quite a few people asking me for baby Yodas, and I'm just like, I just buy me the materials plus a little extra on it. Nothing big. I'll pay for the shipping, and everybody's stateside, so it's not a big deal. Of course, Baby Yoda is what everybody's requesting because it turned out pretty damn good. And that's like the new thing. But that was just, a quick thing on the 3D printing. But that's kind of where we're going. I can't afford $40 for a new piece of terrain when I need 20 pieces, type thing, which they're still affordable, but still, when I can do pretty much the exact same thing on my 3D printer for pennies, I'm going to do it on my 3D printer. Just have to.
Trashorama says, I just put a silent motherboard on my Ender 3 today and setting up my Apex X1 today. And I'm looking at that little sentence and going, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you probably understand that,
I know what
but...
he's doing. I actually, I have to buy a new fan for my extruder because I accidentally broke one of the fan blades, and it hums really loud. It still works. There's nothing wrong with it. It just hums, and it's kind of off center a little bit. Nothing bad. But let me know how that is. Right. Let me know how that does, because I've been thinking about doing that to mine. I mean, the 3D printers for the most part are pretty quiet for some people. Some people don't like it, but I mean, if you were to have like 10 of them going at a time, it would be it would be, an annoying thing. But I do this for personal, not for private.
Rise to Design, you've not been watching for very long, have you?
No.
I've had a few people comment on that, like, is my thumb okay? Did I injure it? Yeah, that's just paint.
Really cool paint, but yes, it's just paint.
That is hilarious.
But yes, it'd be interesting to see. So what are we doing? Oh, actually, we're at time. I didn't get to finish this
We
model.
are, but I didn't finish the red on this yet.
You're well. Finish the red on it. We can hang out for just a few minutes. We got a minute left. I gotta finish. I want to get this.
I'll be back on Tuesday at my Kathy Paints time, which is 3 p.m. Central, so that I can finish the red on this one last guy, and then move on to the skin mutations, the bony mutations on these guys. And once the bony mutations are done, my iron golems will be complete.
And then you're gonna sell them on eBay for $800.
No.
What?
I'm gonna be selfish and keep them.
Put them up in a glass case and never play with them?
No, worse than that. I will probably put them in a box and never play with them. Yeah, no, the Warcry ones, I have actually played Warcry and I enjoy it, and my husband also has Warcry models, and we'll both be playing it together. And we may actually make a battle report.
What?
I know.
Not you.
I know.
You won't
Just
do it.
need a mwahaha, right? Hey, Avian Thulium. How you doing? Didn't know you were hanging around. Yeah. I do need a mwahaha. I always need a mwahaha. Mwahaha. It will be complete. That's actually how it sounded in my head too. That is exactly how it was sounding in my head. So I'm glad you picked up on that. The Bony Mutation sounds like a good band name. It does, yes. Do you like Bony Mutations or Bony Protrusions better? Like, I feel like protrusion is almost hideous.
Hideous?
Hideous. In almost a Lovecraftian sort of a way.
Okay.
For those that don't know, I'm a big Lovecraftian.
Well, guys, it is time for us to call it an evening. There you go. There's your
And
muhaha.
I see you real soon.
Guys,
Everything else is copyrighted.
yes, because
so
we
I
don't get in
won't sing
trouble.
it.
So we appreciate everybody showing up and doing this. Next week we should have the team entirely back, and we will discuss something much different. I pretty much got almost all those models done. That was pretty quick and good. I'm really digging contrast painting. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not, not going to win me any competitions, and I don't care because I just want to get these painted for putting on the table.
And at least yours are done, whereas mine are still only primed.
Sucker.
And I've just spent 2 months painting iron golems, whereas you would have had them done in, like a week.
Probably, if I ever got off my ass and did it. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it more than anything. If you do anything, go join us on our Facebook page. Go look at our Patreon. Go look at anything that we have. Kathy will be back on Tuesday, painting up again. Hopefully she'll finish her golems and she can start working on the Marvel Crisis Protocol, where you can see a real painter paint them up, like me doing contrast paints, and just making them look pretty. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Kathy.
Good.
And John's not here.
I know, he can't beat us this time. I bet he's all sad about that too. Just can't say his name. I mean, it would be like
his mom doing Christmas decorations.
You drink a lot of eggnog. What a
hey, guess
slacker.
What? I didn't fall asleep during our show tonight.
I know. That's like rare.
I really thought I was going to.
Probably if you drank more alcohol, you probably would have.